every conversation tells a story, and the best ones begin with honesty, courage, and a little curiosity. That's where Elsa Kurt comes in. She's an author, podcaster, and independent media personality, and this is where she brings real life to the table. Authors, thinkers, creators, leaders, everyday folks with extraordinary journeys. We sit down, we dig in, and we talk about what matters, what's messy, what's beautiful, and what just might inspire you to look at the world a little differently. So pour a cup of something good, settle back and join me. This is Elsa Kurt Interviews, where truth has a seat and everyone's welcome.
Well, hello, everyone, and hello to my guest, Heather Fairfax. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Awesome. So we are going to have such a fun chat. I am so excited to learn all about your book, but I want our viewers and our listeners to hear a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to hang on just a moment and watch this all together, guys.
When life fractures under the weight of illness, faith is often tested not in the loud moments, but in the quiet ones. In When Cancer Meets Grace, Heather Fairfax invites us into those sacred unseen spaces where fear and faith sit side by side. This is not a story of perfect strength or tidy answers. It is a story of companionship, of grace showing up in hospital rooms, long nights, and the slow work of renewal. For anyone walking through suffering, caregiving, or spiritual exhaustion, this book is a gentle reminder that you are not alone and grace has not left you.
Heather, I already know that this book means so much, of course, to you and to anyone who has lived this, who's living through this experience right now. And it's such an important, honest, open conversation to have, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Could you do me a favor? I love for our viewers and our listeners to get to know our guest, a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about you, like who you were before cancer entered your life?
Wow. There's a lot there. I felt like I was a very fortunate person. Life has been very interesting to me in that, and I have been able to live some wonderful dreams. And before I learned of my diagnosis, I was in mental health as a manager of behavioral health for the military. And it was very affirming. Our organization did not get the contract to continue. And it was in this time, as we were shutting down, they were saying, I was like, okay, I need to get all my doctor's appointments and done before everything is closed down. And so that was, I wasn't feeling sick or anything. I just wanted to get my stuff done. And I was supposed to do a mammogram at the end of the year. And I thought, I'm just going to push it up. But sometimes when you don't experience or expect something, the unexpected happened.
Yes.
So I was going along in my to do the appointment. And then they said, oh, well, we want to do something else. And it was happening in rapid succession. And I was like, I know, I've been in this healthcare field. That's not good. But so eventually within a week, I got the diagnosis that I had cancer. And I was surprised because I did not expect it. I was at the top of my game. And so, sometimes when we hear something devastating, we kind of shut down. And so I was able to do that because I had to get my daughter to a Disney program. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to give me 3 weeks because I have to get her there. I got to go to Disney World, get her there. And I'll think about this later. And so that's how I kind of avoided getting the full impact of the cancer diagnosis. And so, also part of what I did in addition to that was I was a therapist. I am a therapist. And so when, as a therapist, you get something like that, you have to think, okay, I have been talking to people for years about overcoming, and can I live my own truth that I give to people? And so that That was it. I was surprised. I already had MS, if you can believe that.
Wow.
And I found that God was faithful to me. I never felt like I was in danger of dying.
Mm-hmm.
But cancer is different. Cancer is different, that when you get there, you're wondering, okay, what will it be? And at first, I was okay, because when I finally got to my team, they said, oh, well, you've got stage 2 and we're going to treat with intent to cure. And I was like, I can take, my faith says I can do this, Lord. You took me through MS, and you're telling me stage 2, and they're going to treat me and I'm going to get better. And very good, God, I can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
But then they had to do more tests, and they did a PET scan, and they found that it had traveled. So I went from stage 2 to stage 4 in a matter of weeks.
Whoa.
And
That's a lot of information to process. And I know this is how it happens so often, that you get this first diagnosis, you go into almost denial, right? Like, you kind of like, you do the compartmentalizing. You go, okay, I'm going to put this right here, just like you did, right? I'm going to put this right here because I have all of these other things going on and I have to deal with these things. So I'm going to set this aside. And you kind of didn't get that opportunity to even do that because everything was so fast, right?
Right. You got it.
That's a lot to process in a very short time. And then you have to make all the plans, right? All of the, just all of those life adjustments. And I feel for it. And I'm, fortunate to have not experienced that as of yet. Who knows? Life, is what it is. But I try and put myself in that position mentally to try and think about how you even can process all of that. And then you, with your background, wow, to be on the other side of that had to be so jarring for you.
Absolutely. And then within a week or 2 of my first chemotherapy treatment, I got sick and ended up in the hospital for almost a month.
Oh.
And that was very humbling. God really met me there. But there is something about, it's a humbling experience to be in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And then if things are not going well, I couldn't eat. I had COVID, right before. So everybody had to be in gear when they came into my room. And so it allowed me to understand and to experience what we who go through cancer, there are levels of devastation to it. And that was a very devastating time. God met me in that I had a peace that I could not explain to you how I had it other than God. But it was a very difficult journey to be in the hospital with IVs. And I eventually had to do an NG tube because I couldn't eat anything. And then I had to go to a rehab, and that was like going to a nursing home or in that rehab setting. Those were very difficult experiences, but I learned so much in them and found that God just met me in the midst of. So I learned.
I like the way that you phrase that, and that resonates to me, that it's humbling to go through that experience, because it's very clear that you are a caretaker. Like, you are someone who takes care of other people, who helps. You're a helper. You help other people. And then you're in the position where you're the one that needs the help and needs the caretaking.
Yes.
That had to be difficult to allow yourself to be in that position, or no? Did you find, just with your faith, with your trust in God, do you think that's what made you able to just say, okay, God, I'm just going to do the things that you tell me to do here and accept the things you tell me to accept? I mean, what kind of struggle was that for you, if at all?
Being in the hospital, when being on my back, I was like, all I could do was exist. The ultimate thing for me in eating was ice chips. That's all I could get, right? Because I had to be fed through the tube. And then I because of my MS, I was bedridden. So I could not get up and walk around. So I was down, and it was taking me from everything I knew or how to go about it to, okay, God, you're going to have to tell me or help me to see a different way
Yeah.
of doing this. And it didn't come all at once. But what amazed me was the little things that grounded me in the journey. It was in my hospital bed looking out, and it was fall, and the leaves were turning. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. The hospital room, because of the COVID, I was the only one in there.
Oh.
So I had control over what I could hear.
Yes.
And I kept it calm. And, I listened to a lot of music. So it's those little things that help. But I couldn't get up. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't. It was pretty devastating.
Yeah, and you know, and just listening to your faith and your trust in God, I feel like it's got to be just almost the only way, not almost, really, truly the only way to get through such a harrowing, difficult experience without falling into or staying in a state of despair. I mean, because it would be so easy to go into that mode, that depression, you know, fear, uncertainty, because you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And I think that's why, you know, believers turn to God and turn to our faith like that, because when everything worldly feels impossible, it's like the only thing you can grab onto that you know is constant and steady, and even if you don't understand it, right, like why this is happening. Did you go through the why me's or any of that?
I was blessed with the why me's. What I did do was, you know, the Bible says to be anxious for nothing, but in everything. So I just kind of put was I anxious from time to time? Yes. What I felt most was like things like the IVs. I had a horrible time with IVs, and they had to eventually to use my port to get blood tests, you know, and then I think I was so focused on trying to figure out how to get back to my former state that it kind of allowed me to kind of not focus on the devastation. And I think too, the fact that I had gone through MS ahead of time, which was also another devastating chronic disease. I had learned a lot about trust in dealing with that I could bring over, but that did not, there's something about cancer that I did not feel with MS. With MS, I thought you just have to get a good treatment. They've done enough work. It's got to be good treatment. But when you have stage 4 cancer, then you're like, this has the promise of, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I'm walking through this thing, and I don't know where I'm going to end up. But I was fortunate not to feel, and that was just probably where the whole aspect of grace came in, that I looked at it and I personified grace as an actual person walking, or as a metaphor of understanding that God is with you through his grace, no matter what you go through. And I had to change the way I thought about grace and what healing looked like. It became very different from what I had thought. At the beginning, I was like, well, everybody's going to pray for me, and we're going to pray this cancer out of my body. That's what I was thinking it would be at first. But then as time goes by, and you're doing the day by day, you're going to your treatments, you're doing the chemo, you're doing the doctor's appointments, you realize that you have to have a little bit different view of how you're going to walk through that journey. Yeah,
that makes sense to me. I get that, because the idea of the lived experience is one thing, but the lived experience of it is a whole other. Like, we can talk about how we want to go through something and how we hope to go through something, but when you're actually going through it, you have to put it into action, right? Which is, And you're talking about existing with physical pain, emotional fear, all of those things. And so to be able to do that, I turn into the biggest wimp when I'm sick, and I'm healthy and feeling wonderful. I'm all full. And I think I might speak for a lot of people when I say that, like, it's so easy to praise and thank God and feel blessed when everything is good. And it really struck me when you said, even in the midst of all this, you were blessed. And I think that's so powerful, so profound, to not just say, but to feel in those moments. And I can only pray that if I'm ever faced with, what you've gone through, I just pray that I have that same perspective. And I strongly suspect, I haven't read it yet, I'll be honest, but I strongly suspect that your book is one heck of a lesson in that. So,
Well, in the book, I didn't want to come at it from, I'm on the other side.
Sure.
And I didn't write it because I'm only in my second year of treatment.
Okay.
I wanted to write it from the perspective of, I'm in the middle of this trying to figure it out, and, I'm not by myself. I remember calling a friend that I hadn't seen in a while, or we kind of connected on Facebook. And I said, she said, well, how are you doing? And I said, well, I just learned I had cancer. And then she shared her story of cancer. And when she did hers, it was brain cancer. And I was like, what if I had to do that? And I don't know. And just listening to her story, it gave me strength, because to me, her faith far exceeded mine, because she had terminal brain cancer.
Oh, wow.
But the beauty of it is she's still here, and God is still working, and she's past her past the time, but she's still here and she's still fighting. And I'm amazed by that. Yeah. And I'm thinking, if she can do it, it's those people that we walk alongside of. But what I didn't want to do was to make it sound like, oh, we just need to pray, and then if we all do this, it's going to be okay. That's not how it is. We kind of go forward to putting one foot in front of the other, regardless of the day and whatever we have to face that day.
What an important statement too that you made, and I really didn't realize this, that your book is written in the perspective of somebody in it, going through it. And we so often read and see books that are, the survivor stories. I got through it. I'm good. Everything is great now. You can get there too. But I think the raw honesty of someone who is in it resonates so much with people who are also in it or about to, just getting that diagnosis and wanting the truth of what it's going to be like, because people will tell you, you're going to be fine. Just pray and just do this and eat really healthy and drink water. And, they give all of those platitudes, I guess, that we tend to give because we don't know what else to say and we don't know what else to do. But this is such a powerful, important book for people to read who are in it. And I would even say for people who are caretakers of somebody, probably just as much, right? It maybe even more, I don't know. But for somebody who is, who loves somebody who's going through this right now, you kind of get that more, not just sympathetic understanding, but an empathetic understanding, really, like, oh, this is what it is. This is how it is. Yeah, you're right. And in that, and it is for caregivers, because even when I'm responding to my friend, sometimes I don't know what to say. Sure.
And all I can do is be present. And that is what I would say to anybody. The important thing is being there.
Yeah.
And not forgetting who you are. So part of the book too was I have 4 vignettes of stories, and there's a main character. It's almost like a family, but there's a main character in there called Grace. And I wanted to put Grace in different ways for people to connect with. But this is a person who's Grace, and Grace is a breast cancer survivor. So and you have these families that are just going through. And what I like about it is a story. It's a vignette. And in those stories, you're seeing the different things that we go through for us who have cancer, the calendars and putting down the doctor's appointments. But one of the things I try to do through the vignettes is to help people remember who they were or who they are, that we are not our diagnosis. Scarves is an expression of identity. I love scarves. I have a whole bunch of them.
I love them too.
But that's the way I express some of my creativity, and it's a visible expression of my creativity. But remembering, I think sometimes when we have a devastating illness, we forget who we were before that illness, what we liked. And what I like about the vignettes is that the things they do to connect are so simple. Whether it's building a birdhouse, which which talks to hope, or the scars, or having a cup of tea. Those pleasures that we used to have, I want, it's a way of defiance against the illness.
I love that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And sometimes there's one about the door at the end of the hall. Well, sometimes we're not ready to go through every door that we face in cancer. Sort of like when I first got the news, I wasn't ready to go through that door. I had to go somewhere else and kind of think through it until I was ready. But in that hallway, there are people there and that they're going to be there for you.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah. When I was in the hospital, I had to give up the thought of work. I liked doing everything that I did, but I had to say, okay, I have folks that are supervisors that can do this. And I had to say, okay, you're going to have to do it, because I had to say, I can't do it. I cannot think about work today because this is so big and I am on my bed, hospital bed, and I can't do it. And having to depend and realize that your community, that's the one thing that I've learned about in cancer, is that we have a community that we need to take advantage, whether it's that the group, the support group. Sometimes I wasn't ready for a support group at the beginning. So I found a sponsor, a one-on-one person that I could talk to about anything that had. So there's the place. There's a place for those who are on the other side, that they can give back to folks like myself.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And say, okay, sort of like your AA group, you have a sponsor.
Sure.
Well, I had a cancer sponsor. So I knew I could call her and say, okay, this is what's going on. And she's, I said, and how long have you been cancer free? Oh, 2 decades. And I'm like, okay, I can handle that, because to me, that was hope. Right. And she knew how to kind of address my concerns.
Yeah. That's so that's so important, and that you included all those different perspectives, those places in the cancer journey. I love that it can just resound with so many different people in different lanes of that. So what a treasure. I want to talk to you about the title a little bit. We were talking about grace, and it's a striking title. It grabs you right away. The cover, of course, is absolutely beautiful. When did you first sense that grace was meeting you in the middle of your suffering? Was it right from the beginning? Did you just have this like epiphany moment, or?
No, I was wanting to write about grace, but how I did it, that didn't come right away.
Okay.
I wanted to have this formal book about what grace was, and then I think about 2-3 months in, I thought, wait a minute. I want grace to be more than just a word. I want it to be more than just a Bible study. I wanted grace to be personified, to kind of make it a person that walks with us through, and to make it a metaphor that people could connect with. I wanted to do it in a myriad of ways, to kind of get that message across that, my grace is sufficient. That's what the Bible says.
Yeah.
My grace is sufficient because it's made perfect in weakness. And I wanted to embrace the concept of weakness, because a lot of times to get through the cancer journey, we don't have the strength for it. I don't have the strength for it.
Right.
And there are good days and there are bad days. But to be okay with the bad days,
Mm-hmm.
and to be at rest in the bad days and not have to be somebody that you're not that day, I think that's what we need, what I needed to know, that it didn't matter how I felt, that God was with me, even if
Mm-hmm.
Things are going bad and not where I want it to be, he was still there. So that's why I took grace in that direction.
So beautiful.
It didn't start that way, but that's the way it ended.
Yeah, I'm such a visual and literal person sometimes that actually, I love that idea of seeing grace as a person, as somebody walking with you. I love that makes such sense to me to do that. And even as you're talking, and every time you're saying the word grace, I'm imagining this beautiful, loving person right there beside me. And I love that imagery and that feeling and that sense. So just what a, I don't know, God breathed idea for you to have. That's so beautiful. Let's see. What do I want to ask you? So you are clear in this book that it's not a story of perfect faith, which I also love. Why was it important for you to say that out loud?
It was important because, we're not perfect. We don't have a perfect faith. And I think if you're not careful, I did not want to send the message that because you believe in God and that you're going to, and you're trusting in him, that you're going to be able to do whatever, you're going to get through whatever you have to go through, whether it's cancer or any other disease. It's a mixed bag. You're not going to have good days. You're going to struggle. And it was important for me to say, I wanted to have an authenticity about the walk and a transparency about the walk. And I did not want to say, I got it together. I know God, and I've known God for a long time. And because what I know of God, I'm going to be able to make it through whatever. No, we have times when our faith is tested, when we're going through and we're like that, the disciples on that boat where the storm tossed them to and fro.
Yeah.
Well, that was not a perfect story. That was very messy. I love that because I think when we're going through, our lives are messy, and I wanted to make sure to not go in the venue of perfection, because we're not. And that's even any people in the counseling, when I'm counseling with folks, that's one of the things I want to get to them. There's no perfection here. It's messy. And if you can embrace it that you're not, then you can depend on those supports that God may bring for you along the way.
Yeah, I think there's that misconception that we fall into, especially. So I'm a newer Christian. I'm a new believer. It's just been a few years, and I'm just, it's like a crash course in learning everything, and I just immerse myself so much in it, and I get myself into these modes of like, I get mad at myself, when I'm not doing it perfectly. Right. And when I fail, and when I lose my temper, or if I swear, or if I do all of those things of my former self that I'm trying to break free of and be more Christ-like and more like him in his image, and I keep failing and failing and failing and getting mad at myself. And then, so grateful to the wonderful church and pastoral team that we have that reminds us, daily, weekly, that that's why you need Jesus, because you're not perfect and you never will be. And it takes that burden right off of you. Like, I can just accept this gift, this free gift of course, salvation, but grace and forgiveness and mercy and all of those things. And it's like, I want everybody to have that feeling that you have, that I'm learning still to have and to be reminded of. So it's such amazing statements and reminders and just nuggets of wisdom that you're sharing for us.
Yeah, God is a God of grace and mercy. And that's the only way, I think, because we can't do it and we're not perfect. But he meets us. His grace is sufficient to meet us wherever we are, no matter what we're going through.
Yeah, so powerful. How do you hope readers will use this book? Where do you see this impacting them in their lives?
Yeah. I think the one thing is, it's a faith story. And I'm hoping that when things get hard, that they will cling more to God. It's not about, again, having it together. It's about knowing who to trust in the midst of. And there's no direction. There is no thing that is there that says you have to do this, this, and this in order to reach there. I like what you said. You don't have to, eat the right foods. This is not about that. There are books for that. And believe you me, I want to read a few of those books, but that's not what this is about. This is about when I am weak, when I don't know where I'm going to get strength for the next step, I can just trust it. I can lean. I can be quiet. I can just lean into God, and he's going to meet me somehow with everything being unsettled. I'm still enough with grace. No matter what's going on, God is still enough and still walking with me no matter what the journey is.
So beautiful. So beautiful. The funniest thing, Heather, is one of the last questions I was going to be asking you was, I'm going to read the question for someone listening right now who's holding fear and faith in the same trembling hands. What would you want them to know today? And I almost can't even ask you. I will give you a chance to answer it if you'd like to, but you've given everyone so many important moments and lessons and takeaways from this. It's just incredible. I don't even know what you could add to that, but if you'd like to, please do.
What's the question again?
I know I just went on and on. So for someone listening right now who's holding fear and faith at the same time, what would you want them to know today?
Rest. Rest. You don't have to figure it out. Whatever you're feeling, that's what you're feeling. Embrace it. You don't have to have the answer. And God is with you, and that's enough. You don't have to do anything other than rest.
Listen, I know we're not striving for perfection, but that right there just was, it just simply was a beautiful, perfect answer and advice and suggestion for everyone. So if you would tell everyone where they can find your book, your website, all of that good stuff. If you have, I don't know if you have any book events, in-person events coming up. If you do, feel free to share them.
Well, actually, this is my first venture in writing a book. And I do have a website, an author's website. And I would have to go, it is so new. Heather Fairfax author, all one word, .com.
Perfect. Yes. I'm going to go on it as soon as we're done. I can't wait to look at it.
So much.
Oh, I thank you so much for joining me today. You would never guess that this was your first book. You speak so eloquently about it. And so you just have this wonderful, soothing, reassuring demeanor. It's very clear why you're a therapist and why you are such a wonderful helper to people. So, but thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Elsa. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime. Guys, thank you all for watching and listening in today. The links for Heather Fairfax's book will be in, and her website will be in our show notes, and we will see you the next time. Take care.
You've got a story worth sharing. Now it's time to tell it well.
Whether you're an author, entrepreneur, influencer, or podcast guest, stepping in front of the camera or microphone can feel overwhelming. On the other side of the mic is your practical, encouraging guide to becoming a confident, authentic, and engaging interviewee. Written by media personality and best-selling author Elsa Kurt, this book blends real-world wisdom from hundreds of interviews with a touch of humor, grace, and heart. It's more than a how-to. It's a roadmap to presence, professionalism, and peace in every conversation.